If you've ever dug into healthy garden soil and spotted earthworms wriggling away, you've just found one of nature's most dedicated soil workers. These humble creatures aren't just indicators of fertile ground, they're essential to creating it. Their movement aerates compacted soil, their castings enrich it with nutrients, and their constant feeding helps break down organic matter into forms that plants can absorb. But here's the key: if you want earthworms to show up and stay, you've got to feed them right. Let's dive straight into what they crave and how to turn your garden into an earthworm paradise. The power of fruit and vegetable scraps is honestly pretty amazing. Worms are composting champions, and nothing excites them more than soft, decomposing fruits and vegetables. Apple cores, banana peels, melon rinds, squash skins, and carrot tops are like candy to them, soft, moist, and easy to digest. As these scraps begin to break down, they release natural sugars and moisture that draw in worms like a beacon. One of the best ways to attract and nourish worms is to bury fruit and veggie scraps a few inches into the soil. Not only does this keep pests away, but it creates little nutrient pockets that worms will seek out. Just make sure the scraps are free of oils, dressings, or salts. What you're offering should be as close to nature as possible, raw and chemical-free. Coffee grounds are more than just a morning pick-me-up for humans. They're also a favorite among earthworms. Rich in nitrogen and finely textured, coffee grounds help create the right chemical environment in the soil, especially when mixed with carbon-rich material. Used coffee grounds are already partially broken down, making them an easily digestible meal for worms. Tea bags, especially those made of compostable materials, offer similar benefits. Loose tea leaves or bags without plastic or staples decompose quickly, attracting worms in search of an easy meal. Just tear open the bag, scatter the contents, and let nature do the rest. Earthworms don't need glossy magazines or junk mail, but give them shredded newspaper with soy-based ink or plain cardboard, and you'll see them move in fast. These materials are high in carbon, a crucial element in the composting equation. When moistened and mixed with other organic matter, they break down into a fibrous, spongy bedding that worms adore. Cardboard should be torn into small pieces to speed up decomposition, and any plastic tape or glossy coatings should be removed. As it softens in the soil, it becomes a welcoming habitat and a source of slow-release food. This kind of bedding keeps the environment breathable and moisture-retentive, two things worms can't live without. Crushed eggshells, calcium-rich snacks. If there's one overlooked food that benefits both worms and soil structure, it's the humble eggshell. When crushed into small pieces and added to the soil or worm bin, eggshells provide calcium, essential for worm reproduction and for neutralizing acidic conditions. You won't see worms chewing on shells immediately, but over time these gritty fragments help with digestion and mineral balance. It's important to rinse and dry eggshells before use to prevent odors or attracting pests. Once they're clean, crush them finely with a mortar and pestle or in a blender. Spread them near where you bury other organic matter, and worms will eventually incorporate them into their diet. Aged manure is, honestly, a gourmet buffet for worms. One of the richest food sources for worms is well-aged manure from plant-eating animals like cows, horses, rabbits, or chickens. When composted and broken down over weeks or months, this manure becomes a soft, earthy substance that's just teeming with microbial life, ideal for worms to feast on. The key word here is aged. Fresh manure is just too hot, high in ammonia, and potentially laden with harmful pathogens or medications. Aged manure, on the other hand, is cooler, safer, and absolutely bursting with life. It's kind of like compost with a bonus boost of natural fertilizer. Mix it into your garden beds or layer it lightly over buried food scraps to speed up worm attraction and, improve overall soil fertility. Foods to be cautious with. While worms aren't especially picky, there are a few things that can really disrupt their cozy environment. Citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, and grapefruits are naturally acidic, and too much of them can throw off the pH balance of your soil or worm bin. A few peels now and then might be fine, but large amounts can actually drive worms away. Onions and garlic fall into a similar category. They decompose slowly and release strong odors that worms find, well, pretty unpleasant. When building a worm-friendly garden, it's better to keep these in your municipal compost or bury them far away from worm-rich zones. Greasy foods, meat scraps, and dairy products don't belong in your worm-feeding plan either. These materials not only repel worms but can also attract unwanted pests, create anaerobic pockets in the soil, and cause some really nasty odors. Worms thrive in clean, fresh-smelling compost, not one that smells like a fast food dumpster. There's an easy trick to make all your worm food more effective. Chop it up. Smaller pieces of food break down faster, which means worms can eat it sooner. Slicing banana peels, dicing melon rinds, or tearing greens into smaller bits helps create a feast that's ready in days rather than weeks. To support efficient decomposition, make sure your soil or compost mix has a balance between nitrogen-rich green materials, like food scraps, coffee grounds, and manure, and carbon-rich browns, such as paper, cardboard, and dry leaves. This balance, keeps the microbial activity in harmony, which in turn supports a healthy worm population. Moisture is another deal-breaker. Earthworms breathe through their skin, and they can only do so in a damp environment. If your garden soil dries out, worms will retreat deep underground or disappear altogether. The best environment is moist but not soggy, kind of like a wrung-out sponge. You can achieve this by layering food scraps with shredded paper or straw, which holds moisture while allowing air circulation. The bonus boost, a little grit. Worms don't have teeth. Instead, they rely on muscular gizzards to grind food, and for that, they need grit. In a natural setting, they find this in tiny soil particles or bits of sand. If you're building a worm bin or heavily amending your garden soil, it can help to sprinkle in a little garden soil or fine sand to aid digestion. It's a small step that makes a big difference. Final thoughts: feed them right and they'll feed your soil. Feeding your soil is more than just throwing scraps into the dirt. It's about building a thriving, balanced ecosystem that invites earthworms to take up permanent residence. With the right foods, a moisture-rich environment, and a steady supply of organic matter, you'll not only attract earthworms, but give them every reason to stay. And in return, they'll transform your soil into a living, breathing foundation for healthy, vibrant plants. If this guide helped you understand how to attract and nourish earthworms in your garden, don't forget to subscribe to Hydro Haven for more practical, down-to-earth gardening wisdom. Share this video with fellow gardeners and let's bring more life back to the soil, one worm at a time.